order. Welcome everyone. Look forward to Thank you, and welcome all members of the public as well. I'd like to call the meeting to order, starting with any adjustments to the agenda.
I have none.
There being no adjustments to the agenda, moving on to the acceptance of the minutes of June 9th, 2021.
I'll move that we accept the minutes as printed.
Second.
Motion to accept the minutes of June 9th, 2021 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one? The minutes for June 9th, 2021 are adopted into the record. When the clerk is not here, I will try and execute. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Okay, communication and public comments. Peter Romano, please step up. Right there, sir.
This meeting tonight discussing the forest road, and it's not right. This board should have notified, or the town manager me, because I would not have been there. And this is very important. I lived there 45 years. So I'm very discouraged with everybody at this point. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and we're very sorry for that. To apologize for that, sir. Are there any further communications and public comments?
I'll just interrupt for a second.
Sure,
Yes,
please.
my comment is, yeah, folks that have any comments, yeah, you got to step up to the mic so that are attending virtually can hear what you're saying. But to use the mic. Button, the green light comes on, that means it's on. Okay? Yeah. So if you have a public to make, what you're going to need to do is step up to this mic so that folks who are attending virtually can hear you. Just hit the button. And the light will turn on. This is on. Okay? Sorry about that. I just,
No, thank you very much.
clarify that.
Are we all set to move on? Are there any further communication and public comments? Okay, seeing none, moving on to unfinished business. First and foremost, the American Rescue Plan, ARPA, COVID Local Recovery Funds update.
Unfortunately, we don't have an update. We were all told by powers to be, VLCT being one of them, that we would have notification by now. We know roughly what the funds are going to be, but we were supposed to, before July 1st, have the funds in hand, at least half of the funds in hand, and we haven't seen them yet. I called today, and we are registered.
Thank you very much. Is there any other comment regarding the American Rescue Plan, ARPA, and COVID Local Recovery Funds update from the public? Seeing none, either present or online, thank you. We will move on to the next unfinished business, Town Hall office hours.
Pauline O'Brien is on.
Hi, Pauline.
I can't hear anything.
Pauline, we can hear you. Can you?
Okay,
Can you speak to this?
I can, thank you. So when I was appointed in the end of October of 2020, Susan Harlow and I had a discussion about extending the town hall clerk's office hours. And being new to the position, I explained that I would prefer to be in the position for a while to make that assumption and see what the need was for our community, and which I've done. Since that discussion in late October of 2020, there has been 4 discussions about the subject and only 1 request for extended hours, and that's come from Mr. Wickberg, which I certainly appreciate what his needs are. However, I think we've been very accommodating, and since there's been no other requests for extended hours past the normal hours of 8:30 to 4 p.m. But we do have appointments after hours by appointment. So I'm not sure, what we could do further. And frankly, I don't see that there is a need for extending the clerk's hours, but would also have to be the town hall hours, because our community would expect things like tax payments or trash tags or, any given number of services that the town provides. Just a little history. Mr. Wickberg called for his first appointment for after hours on March 30th, for a March 30th date, and did not show for that appointment. It was a 4:30 appointment and he did not show. We rescheduled for April 5th and he came in, and we had the work available for him. And then called again for an appointment on April 20th, and made it for 8:30 a.m. and proceeded to say that Wednesdays were a good day for him to make appointments. So that was the second conversation. The third conversation was with Yvette Hendler, after she had attended a May Select Board meeting and heard Mr. Wickberg's complaint. And after I explained to her that, we have the office hours 8:30 to 4, but we're available by appointment, she actually dropped the subject. So this is only the 4th conversation that's been presented. Frankly, I don't see the need for it, for extended hours, if we continue to be available by appointment. So that's my story.
Thank you for your comments and thank you for your synopsis. Comments from the general public?
Bob Wickberg. Everything you said is correct. There was one thing that you didn't say, which was that one time when I called, I was told that the office was open until 4 and that the accommodation would be, quote, this one time. And I have not asked you to stay late since. I was there again this morning doing more research on what's coming up under old business E, and I can flex my hours at work, but my hours at work are 8 to 4 normally in Brattleboro, and so getting here by 4 o'clock does require me to get to work late. It's not the end of the world, but I'm curious. There was sent out in the packet, there was a survey of other towns, and quite a few of them do stay open a little later. Has anybody asked any of those clerks whether people do come in I know several years ago I owned some property in Guilford, and they used to be open until 7 on Monday nights. And when I had occasion to go in there and do research there, I would go over on Monday nights, and I was not the only one to come in. And I asked the clerk whether the extended hours were used, and she said yes, they were. I mean, we're only talking like maybe 1 hour. What would be so hard about going home at 5 o'clock one night a week instead of 4, just to see whether anybody comes in or not? This is a bedroom community. A lot of people commute to Keene, to Brattleboro, and to other places, and you just can't get here during those hours. People work around. I don't think people like to ask for an appointment outside of the normal hours. And given the response I got one time, I can see why they don't. So I'd still like to see it happen.
That comment was because we were under a pandemic situation.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Bob. Are there any further comments from the public on this subject? On the board?
Well, I guess I can see both sides of this, and I'm not so sure how. I guess, is there a way that we can do an experiment about what the need would be other than Mr. Wickberg's need? Because if there is no other, it's not doing it. If there is no other request for it, I understand what Pauline is saying. So is there a way that we can fix this so that it would be possible, by possible to make it easy to do? It's you're right. You should be able to get into the town hall at some point during the time. And if a special appointment isn't good for you, I mean, towns do things different ways, but it may not be really necessary here. I'm just thinking out loud.
No, that's why we're having the discussion.
New Hampshire's different because they have the registration, so a lot of those towns are open at odd hours. The only thing, to be fair to our town clerk, to just say by appointment, it's hard for them to have a life too. I think if we were to try it, if it could be at least on Tuesday night, if you want to make an appointment, you could come on whatever night. So then the people don't feel like because I wouldn't want to call. I feel like I'm really imposing on her to make an appointment. But if you know, and we're posting it, that they're available, not that they're there, you just call and make an appointment. It might be a little bit easier and try that way first. Only because then I'd feel a little more comfortable that they know it's only on Wednesday and that. Okay. Can't hear me? No. Okay. Anyways, that'd be the only thing. Because most of the towns that I deal with that are open those hours they all take Friday off. I can't get into all the small towns on Friday because they only want to work 4 days. They can't.
Is someone speaking?
Craig Allen is speaking.
Okay.
Thanks. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think what I was just saying, that a lot of the towns, if they are going to do an appointment, it's only on certain night, like one night a week, you call and make appointment, to be fair to you, because otherwise, what happens if 4 or 5 people called you every other night and want to make appointment? You wouldn't have a life. And if
No, I would do it at, I do have a life and I have other commitments. So I would make the appointment on a night that it was convenient for me, or before hours that might be able to be arranged. But I don't think I would really like to extend hours, say 1 day a week until 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock would be like it, but and sit there and not have anyone make appointments. You know, I'm going to continue to make appointments for researchers that want to come in because it assures them of that time. It confirms that they have the time, they have the availability to the records, everything else, and frankly, that's their preference as well as mine. So I don't know why this is such a bone of contention, but it is. Russ Hodgkins, would you like to weigh in on this?
I would. It's not only Pauline that's going to be here.
Right.
I'm not going to allow her to be in a closed building by herself after
Thank you.
hours. I'm going to have to be here. I have meetings, about 2.5 meetings per week, is what my average is. So that means I'm not going home. I'm staying here for so anyway, so it's not going to be just Pauline sitting here by herself.
Wickberg.
Question, why don't you just come in an hour later that day? I mean, nobody's asking you to work more. We're just
No.
asking you to shift the hours a little bit so they're more convenient for the public. I guess Pauline asked, why is this an issue? It's an issue because I don't think that the hours are convenient for the residents of the town. I think they could be more convenient. So why not do it?
I have at least 2 or 3 commitments every morning before hours of the day. I talked to the road foreman. I talked to the folks that are on their way to talk to people on their way to work. They know I'm there. They see my red truck, and they come in. It can be as much as trash. It can be whatever, but that phone is ringing off the hook well before 8:30 because they know I'm there, and I like to be there for them. Exactly. It's every morning.
Are there any further comments from the public on this issue? Hi, Fran.
Hi, my name is Fran Renault, and I'm just wondering, has this been an issue for anybody else in town other than Mr. Wickberg?
No. No.
Bringing it up?
Nope.
So one person.
One person since I took the role.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more further discussion from the public and deliberation on town hall office hours? Thank you. Seeing none, we will move on to website renewal.
You're up, Russ.
Hey, Russ.
Hello. Yeah, I can give a quick update. It's pretty much the same update as a couple weeks ago. We're still struggling to get content. At this point, we're just going to carry forward what we have, and over the next 2 weeks, work with Russ to go ahead and do the cutover and publishing of it.
Great. Thank you for your effort. Are there any further public comment on the website renewal update and how that's going? Any member of the public wish to comment? Any member of the board? Thank you all for your commentary. Moving forward, seeing none. Collaborative finance procedural manual, update, if any.
The manual hasn't changed for the 2 weeks, but we do have Paul Harlow here tonight to discuss another aspect.
Thank you. I'm Paul
Welcome,
Harlow,
sir.
Town Treasurer. I have here my slightly organized pile of papers.
a list of all the things that the treasurer needs to do. And that details which button to push to do payables, payroll, includes quarterly reports, how to access the vendor portal, and all the duties that on a day-to-day basis that the treasurer has to do. I've heard there's a thing on computers called Word. I've never used it, and but there's a lot of scratches here and notes and et cetera. You know, things like this that need to be recorded on, and so at some point I'll need some help. Possibly my sister will help me do that, but or my teenage daughter, I'm not sure. Anyway, I think it's getting pretty complete in terms of our financial. So if someone comes in, if I go to Key West and never come back, then you can hand this over to someone and they will. I do have another issue. Is this an appropriate time to come up with it?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I would like to, NIMRIC at this point does year-end reports, including 1099s, W-2s. They do help somewhat with quarterly reports, although I seem to be able to take care of most of that. I would like to enter a contract. They've offered a contract to do more for our town, and that would be to take care of the monthly statements. Right now, I'm supposed to take the monthly statements and add the interest, make journal entries, access the vendor portal to find out how payments we've gotten from the state, et cetera. Some of these, it's like 1 cent interest, 93 cents interest. It's time consuming. I haven't done a great job of keeping up with it. NIMRIC is very skilled at it. Lori from NIMRIC used to do that before I became treasurer. So there is precedent for it, and they've agreed to do that. The other thing that I'd like to, I think I have the ability to enter into that contract, but I would like to ask the select board permission to appoint Darlene Kelly, who's my NIMRIC representative, as my assistant treasurer. The reasons are, it's difficult to find someone to come in on a part-time basis. I'm not retired, but I'd like to be. And I work 7 days a week from April to November, so that I can take a month off during the winter. And it's hard to find someone to come in and do that, just the daily payroll, et cetera. There is some precedent for it. Lori was my assistant treasurer when I first came on for, I think, several months until I acquired another one. NIMRIC has agreed to do it. It's not, financially, it's not difficult. I think they're scheduled for 9 hours a month, Russ?
Yes.
In the thing. And then the assistants, the present assistant treasurer's monies could go towards that too, even though their rate would be considerably higher than what an assistant treasurer would. I think there's plenty of money to cover it. It's not going to be, it's sporadic. The assistant treasurer time would be just sporadic when I'm not going to be there. It would be extremely helpful to me. So I'd request that the select board allow me to appoint Darlene Kelly as as my assistant treasurer.
Because we're appointed, we need a nomination. I will go ahead and appoint Darlene Kelly as assistant town treasurer for Westminster.
I'll second that.
We've received a request, the assistant treasurer, to get an appointment from the select board of Westminster to appoint Darlene Kelly as the assistant treasurer. It has been so moved by Craig Allen and seconded by Toby Young. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Thank you.
Darlene Kelly is now your assistant
Thank you.
treasurer. Thank you for all you do.
Any other questions?
Are there any questions for the treasurer, who we're very lucky to have with us this evening? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, the 9 hours a month is what NIMRIC would do, or the 9 hours a month is, or the 9 hours you talked
It's
about
what NIMRIC
is doing now?
they're not doing that. They're on the budget for it.
Okay.
They can do
I
up to
just
9
wanted-
hours a month.
I
Yes.
just wanted to,
Yeah.
in a minute, okay, so they're budgeting 9 hours a month.
We have been budgeting 9 hours as for help for the treasurer and or any other financial things. Yeah.
Is there any public comment for the treasurer while he's here? Any questions of the board?
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir, for your time. Moving on to Hartley Hill Road, private section update.
I'm gonna give it to Robert. He's been working with Larry Slason and their council.
I called Salmon and Austrian last week and got their voicemail and left a message in Larry Slason's mailbox. He did not return a call. So I called again Monday, and this time a receptionist answered, and she said she thought that matter had been tasked to Samantha Snow, who works in their office. So she transferred me to her, and I talked to her for a little while, and she asked me for some more documents, which meant coming in this morning and getting another deed, and I scanned that at the office and sent that off to her today, and I haven't heard back from her since, but it would be kind of a quick turnaround anyway. But so maybe there'll be more to talk about next time.
I would also like to take this opportunity to thank you for your clear, concise, and coherent synopsis that you provided. That was, it's just good to have it here for those of us who haven't been around that subject as long as it's been going on. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the update. Any additional comments from the public on Hartley Hill Road or the board? Seeing none. Moving on to the end of year financials, starting with the employee cost of living adjustment, fiscal 2022.
In your packet, you have the newest and greatest totals to date. Chuck still has some outstanding things that he's doing that we are going to place into this fiscal year before the new one starts. But we're getting down to the nitty gritty. As you said, the first item that needs to be decided on tonight is the employee cost of living, so that we can place it into the budget so that we can start our fiscal year July 1st with an updated budget.
Thank you very much for that. So we will now discuss the fiscal 2022 employee cost of living, or a COLA increase. I believe we had arrived at
2.5.
2.5. The discussion last meeting. Has the board had any other opportunity to review, amend, or change their views, or would they like further input? None? Any comment from the general public on the cost of living increase for fiscal 2022? Seeing none, now entertain, do we need a motion for that?
Yes, you do.
I'll now entertain a motion to adopt a fiscal 2022 cost of living adjustment for Westminster.
So moved.
Well, it's gonna be 2.5, right?
2.5.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you. Cost of living adjustment motion has been made by Toby Young to adjust the cost of living adjustment for fiscal 2022 to 2.5. That has been seconded by Craig Allen. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. The employee cost of living adjustment for fiscal 2022 is hereby adopted at 2.5%. Thank you. Now moving on to the issue of the backhoe replacement versus repair.
Chuck, you want to do this?
Well, we've put a few prices together for everybody. Today was the end of the line, and somebody finally came in with the last quote, which is what we suggest as to the new machine. That is the case 580 SN
Jason,
WT. Oop,
there you
there
go.
we go.
Right up to it.
Yep. Well, that came in this afternoon, so I apologize for Russ not having it in the packets, but I did hand it out to everybody. And we went over the numbers, and we're not really too impressed with the John Deere used offering. One reason was the price online was considerably less than the sell price listed here. So it is our opinion not to consider that one as one of the options. As far as repair of the current machine, we haven't heard back. We reached out to a outside source for repairs, and we're not getting any response from that person. So that's really not an option at this point. And then as far as a used machine, we would suggest going with the 2015 Caterpillar, because for dollar, it's the best option for a used. And Case did not offer a comparable in that price point for a used machine. So that's why we don't have an option here for that. So other than that, any questions?
Caterpillar is basically, if you look at the hours, basically a new machine with a 4-year warranty on drivetrain, powertrain, hydraulic. So considerably less money. It's only 300 hours and it's only have one oil change so far. So really.
And also the used John Deere, you cannot get an extended warranty for it. They will not offer it. So that kind of hurts that one. And it does not come with a thumb, and we need the thumb for what we do on our operations. Yep. So that is the gist of that. Any questions from?
Yes, comments, please.
Well, my comment would be that when we went to the voters to put the excavator and purchase a new excavator, then we purchased a new trailer. It was to keep the hours down on the backhoe, to extend it. But things always change. I think to go to the voters and buy a new backhoe would be, I don't know, kind of a slam. I think buying a used one makes a lot of sense, because we're not going to put the hours on it because of the excavator, so we can extend the used one compared to just buying a new one. And I would say I'm for buying a used one with a warranty. The Cat seems like a pretty good deal. How we pay for it, that'd be the next discussion.
Further comment on this, on the backhoe? Any comment from the general public?
At the last meeting, we had looked into the fact that we had gotten 2 grants for the highway department, and talking with legal counsel, that is not going to be able to be placed in the equipment fund as we were hoping. It was paid for out of the general fund, and that's where it goes back to repay the general fund. And so that is not an option. So if we are to buy this machine, then it is going to be a short-term loan. We can put down some, and of course we have the trade value. So, but we would be looking at a small loan for a period of time.
Okay, to make sure, too, that the public is fully familiar with the numbers that we are bandying about, is there a consensus of the board and the highway department that the opportunity to purchase a used loader is both fiscally backhoe, I'm sorry, my apologies, is both more fiscally prudent at this time and also would meet the necessary requirements to get the job done, maintain the safety of the crew and operators and the general public, which is paramount. And the price would be $58,000. Am I reading that correctly, ladies and gentlemen?
No,
Okay.
70,300 trade difference. That's the one we're looking at.
Okay.
Because that's with the backhoe, with the trade,
Mhm.
and then we're purchasing warranty and we're purchasing transporting it here. Am I correct? Yeah.
Okay. And I did read Larry's comments regarding the inability to utilize certain funding. So what amount of money would be available to place towards that balance?
We
If
don't
any-
have that number exactly, but it's roughly $10,000 that we could put out of the equipment fund towards this, plus the, like we said, the trade of 24. So the 70, we would be looking to borrow 60,000.
as to opposed to the two brand new ones, which are on the right, correct, Chuck? 102,000 and 110,000, less the money or whatever money you just stated, or roughly a $30,000 differential in savings by going with the 2015 Caterpillar versus the brand new vehicle. I just want to be clear for the public.
30 to 40,000, yes.
Okay.
You might make a point too.
Please.
If we didn't purchase the excavator, I would think this would be the stupidest idea to buy a used backhoe. But because we bought the excavator, I think it makes a lot of sense. Only question to Russ is, the 10 come out of this fiscal year?
Yes.
Do we have, going to the next year, which is only the next meeting? Do we
We
have?
don't have another meeting in this fiscal year.
No, the next meeting will be in the next fiscal
Absolutely.
year.
Sorry, yes.
We're hopping across. Do we have money in that capital fund? So you'd almost be going to them saying, we'll give you 10 down, hold it, and we'll give you a little bit more.
No,
Okay,
no,
just
Why not?
because the truck has already been purchased for this fiscal year.
And
So
that
this
was- that
this
was
was slated for next year, but we are being forced to do it this year because of the complexity of the repairs. Correct?
You don't know that.
We don't.
We're kind
For-
of going on a hunch. Yeah, I do know that the rollover investments, the case guy pointed out, rotten off. So, yeah, you might fix it then, I don't think you can do it. Right, so that's what I'm going.
It's replacing.
I didn't know that they could say, look at that. They can do whatever they want with it. That was kind of my big concern. But I agree with Craig that, yeah, it's probably crazy to buy a used machine, but this machine, it'll last a while, really, 300 hours, nothing. So, you're getting a new machine for, other than 6 years old. But it sat on their lot for 2 years before it ever even moved.
But Jason's right, 6 years old, and it goes by the value of it. And 6 years old is 6 years old, doesn't matter. But the problem is we didn't plan on it. That's the problem. So now that's, because I mean, without a plan, we're sitting here having a discussion that we can't do anything, I guess. Yeah.
When it comes to equipment though, they go more by the hours versus the years.
Yeah.
It's what everybody I've talked to so far seems to be more concerned with, not so much the age of it. Well, I mean, yeah, it comes to a point where a 1970 backhoe with 300 hours is not worth the same as 2021, obviously, but you know my point. And they all claim that our machine, the hours are right at the point where you want to, it's a salesman talking. You don't salesman born, I do something.
What that means?
You feel that?
No.
So what they're saying, we're right at the age where it's never going to be worth any more than it is right now.
Right.
So that's what I'm going with.
and I really appreciate, and we all appreciate what you do, and you do a lot, and
A lot of legwork.
no question about it. And the issue as to why we're here, though, so the public is also aware, and I'm sure they appreciate it as taxpayers, of which we all are, is that sometimes, things come up. Sometimes a machine doesn't make it to where it needs to go, and right now we have I think generally it's an agreement, we have a machine in distress. If that's incorrect, please someone correct me. We have a machine that is not where it's supposed to be. It probably will not or could not make it to its end without considerable maintenance placed into it, which is impacting its resale value or any wholesale value it may have at the end. And I may be being overly prudent here. I also deem it to provide, when a machine's not working of this magnitude, it can become a hazard to both people on the road and, of course, our valued work crew and our fellow citizens. So that's why we're having the discussion. And I thank everyone for the work. The issue, though, that Craig brought up, and I just want to make sure we're clear on this, there does seem to be a bit of a differential here where, forgive me, where maybe the new one is not all that bad of an idea. Jason just mentioned it was 6 years old, as Craig did. So 6 years. Go ahead, please.
One problem with the new is nothing is available until this fall, and that's at the very earliest. That is one problem with everything, other than Case. Case has a new that they could get by middle of July is what they were saying today.
Jason, you should be talking to
Yeah,
the mic, if
please.
you would.
Thank you for all you do as well.
Yeah, the problem with the new machines, nothing is available, and a lot of that has come down to the problem that the world is facing right now with all the shutdowns and everything else, small workforces. So none of the new machines are available until at least this fall, and that won't do much for us right now if we have a problem that we need the backhoe for. Whereas the used machines are available, they're readily available, especially the Caterpillar. It's waiting for somebody to pick it up and put it into work. So, and then
It's a
again,
seller's market right now. There's no
Right.
equipment out there
Mhm.
anywhere. I mean, it's a bad time to be purchasing a backhoe. It really is, because you're at their mercy. There's just nothing out there for inventory, but it does seem like it would fit it. And I guess as I'm going back to how do we pay for it? I mean, I'm with you a lot of times, but I hate borrowing money, but is that even a possibility? That we go,
It is a possibility, and we also have the possibility of paying it off after town meeting. If
That's what I'm
if the
thinking.
voters would allot some of the surplus that we are going to have towards it, we could literally pay it off in March.
Yeah, and forgive me, being the one that just wants to be crystal clear for everyone to utilize that option. That way, when we are in town meeting in front of our fellow citizens, we can say, hey, look, we had this discussion, we went over every variable that was available to us, with the notion that we would be able to come to you, whether you agreed to it or not, for us to not be in debt on this particular machine for any period longer than necessary, that being less than 12 months until this meeting occurred, at least with the ability to ask you to apply surplus to pay the loan. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yes.
And this is referring to, what are we talking about, buying a new one? Is that?
Well, at the moment, I believe, unless, please correct me, the ability to get a new machine seems to be delayed because, again, because of the manufacturing backup based on COVID globally. These are global
this would be,
companies.
Talking about
The used one.
the used one, yeah. And, the fact that it says 341 hours is basically a new machine. I see no reason why we should have to do anything else with this one.
Thank you, Toby.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the timing, because at last town meeting, we put 145 into the equipment fund for July 1st. That's 7 days from now. Wouldn't we be able to use that funding?
That funding is earmarked for a truck that is on its way to us.
Gotcha.
We did not put that money towards the backhoe because we didn't realize at that point the backhoe wasn't going to make it.
we,
a schedule.
But in the following year, we're not earmarked for a truck, right? So that was the year we were gonna buy the backhoe. So we're skipping is we're jumping it.
correct.
We're jumping it a year early.
You put the backhoe back when you bought the excavator, is that correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Should have been replaced by now, really.
Right. The excavator.
The excavator and the, yes.
I've got a
Please.
question.
Yeah.
So how are we gonna fix this in the future so that every time we do a job that involves grant, I don't go back. I spend money out of my budget to do a job for it. But when the money comes back, it goes to the general fund, and that's where it stays, and we can't get it back for setback or whatever the issue may be. Or culvert for the rest of the town. So just people on Quarry Road benefited from the budget that everybody voted on to do the entire town work. How are we gonna fix that?
That is a very important point, and you're absolutely right. How are we going to fix that?
The only way you can fix that is if the highway department has its very own budget.
Which, what we've discussed. Or Chucky does a better job of keeping track of his paperwork, but just picking on you. But yeah. Yeah. No.
It is incorporated in our general fund. What we're talking about is having a separate vote for just the highway department.
We would, only way we could do it would be to earmark something in his item. Like right now, we earmark guardrails, so we could earmark a construction job by the town and earmark so much money in it, then it would be his because it's one of his line items. But what Russ is talking about is taking the whole line item that you have, and that be yours, the money would come back.
So what Rockingham, yeah, exactly. What they do is when they have a grant come up, whatever it may be, they added a line item for that project, whatever it is.
Right.
And then so the money comes back into that.
Yeah. You base.
It just seems like every time we do it, every time we get a grant, we go backwards. So every time we get a surplus, it's not really a surplus. It's money that came out of my budget that we're giving back. It's great to give it back to the taxpayers, but really, we're going backwards. Every time we fight to get a grant, you should be doing over and above with that money. We're getting better, but really, you're not.
No, but we gave the voters by doing it the way we're doing, we're giving the voters a chance to say, we're gonna go out and hire Mr. Construction Company to do the job. Instead, we're asking you to do it, and we're not paying you, is really what we're doing. So.
And the way the system works is that you're doing the work, you're paying for the work, and then you get the grant.
Yeah.
And that could be a year or two later than when you actually did the work. So hence why it's going back into the general fund, because the general fund had to pay for the job while it was being done. And so now these two jobs that came in, they're sitting there as earmarked for Forest Road and drawing a blank.
Henwood? No.
Sorry. Hartley Hill Road. So those two chunks of money are sitting in there, but they've already been paid for out of the general fund. So hence why they have to go back. But if he had his own.
Out of the highway budget within the general fund.
Correct. Correct.
Well, that's what Cynthia Stoddard brought up right away, was to take his and make it a total separate.
Total.
I think we should just gotta work that. We're not gonna solve it tonight, but we
No.
gotta work that way.
Why haven't the budget been separated yet? Why have we always done it a little bit?
You know what, in the past, since I've been on the board and Toby's been here long, we used to hire it out and give Chucky credit. We bought the equipment and we're using our own crew, but we used to basically have the money and we would hire Adams or somebody to do the work and we would pay them. So it didn't come out of the highway. You follow me? We're doing a lot of the work in-house ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. Same with the trucks and all that. We used to hire contractors to haul the stuff in. Now we do it with the trucks they have. We have all the equipment, and we're just not hiring it out like we used to. Honestly, we're doing bigger, aren't we, Jeff? We're doing bigger and bigger jobs than we never used to. We're doing bigger culverts, more box
We're being
culverts.
forced into it.
Yeah, yeah. Where we used to always all summer long, I'd be sitting here and I know we would go into bid for all these little companies that would be bidding to do a culvert or back. We're just not. We're just having him do it. So to be fair to him, yeah, I think things have changed. It's not going to go backwards. It's only going to go this way. And it's best for the town too. It really is a savings, you know?
So this is something that we should consider, especially when we have a full quorum. So perhaps we should.
You folks are not going to make that decision. The taxpayers are going to
I
have to
understand,
make the decision.
but it's something
you could get it in line,
Yeah.
of course.
This is something we probably very important for us to start to develop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Russ.
And just to kind of add to that, you know, I think, Russ, you just mentioned surplus and how that's going to get applied. I think the point of funds is to have that emergency there. So it's great that we put the 145 in for the purchase next year, but where's that emergency? So as we are looking at surplus next year, let's look at the funds and make sure that there is emergency there. I know you can't, you know, account for a full cost, but at least help reduce costs. It's there. You don't need it, great, it carries over.
And a segue to that is that you do have an emergency fund for one-time expenditures. I would have to talk to our legal counsel to make sure that would be applicable, but we do have a new reserve fund for one-time emergencies.
Given legal counsel's recent correspondence, do you want to revisit that? How much money would we be talking about in this particular case to allocate to the backhoe?
60,000.
So
We have 150 in that fund for one-time emergencies.
yes, and then forgive me for being verbose, but then we may have a debate over what constitutes an emergency.
Absolutely,
Correct?
and that's why it was very clear that it's up to the select board what constitutes an emergency.
That was the exact discussion we had in front of the voters
Right.
about that. How do we, and we never really understood it ourselves. Other than emergency is like maybe if he came to us and said, we have to have a backhoe and you can't fix it, maybe this one's a little gray area because maybe you could fix it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Which we haven't really established providence that we might be able to. Correct?
Yeah.
So I don't know if we meet I don't know if we meet up to the term emergency.
I don't either, and that's why I wouldn't
So to
recommend
answer
it, but
Russ Lazarus' question, and correct me again if I'm wrong, because I might be based on, I believe what Cynthia directed me to, is the rule that when this occurs, we have the ability as a board to borrow without consulting the towns, the voters. Isn't that the correct statement?
in an emergency, yes, you do.
Again.
That's why I would say you're not going to do anything until we get legal counsel to weigh in and say,
Yes.
yes, this is a.
Are you actually borrowing from the emergency fund? Can you actually go to the voters and say, we took 60,000 out because we had emergency to use, but we're asking you to put it right back in again because of the surplus the following year? And here's the good thing, we didn't pay interest on it because we didn't go to the bank and borrow the money.
That's typically what you would do. If legal counsel would constitute this as a one-time emergency.
Okay. So this brings us back again to legal counsel then.
I would think so.
Okay. Are we in agreement? Go ahead.
Kevin, it's Alice Cagiano.
Hi, Alan.
I am hesitant to take an equipment failure as an emergency. In my mind, you expect equipment to fail eventually. It wears out, it breaks. To me, an emergency is something that would affect more people in the community. But that's just my opinion on a definition of a true emergency.
And your comments are well taken and appreciated, and thank you for making them. Are there any further thank you. Do you have anything else to say, Alice?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Hope you're well. Any other comments from the public on this matter? Seeing none. Please.
I just want to answer this because I don't know the answer. What happens if it breaks down and we don't have a new one already? Like, we don't have this situation figured out. We're still thinking about it and it breaks down. What, like, really? Right. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out.
Hey, Chuck, just so I know, I mean,
Valid question.
From day one, I just thought we didn't have a choice to go lease one because there is no rentals anywhere around, right? Every place is empty. We're in a weird time of the year. Right, because normally to answer a question, we would just go out and rent one for the summer to get us through until we went back, but this is a 1 year where there's just not an option. It really is a weird time.
Chuck, is there a possibility of lease to purchase for this thing? No. Okay.
Chuck needs a microphone.
I was just saying how there's really not any equipment out there available. So if we choose not to do anything, then the deal won't last forever. It's just the way it is.
Well, the reason we have this extensive discussion and bring the public in for all these comments is to make sure we arrive at a consensus. So we're back also to the possibility of fixing this with maintenance, correct?
Would you like to speak?
Please.
Kevin, it's Katie Dearborn. If you will allow me, I'd like to make a few comments.
Sure. Katie, could you just wait a quick second when Jason speaks, and then you're next?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, the problem we're up against with fixing this machine is anything we put into it, we will never see it back. The value will never go up with this machine. Right now, it's here. It's only going to go here. And that could include $16,000 transmission. It's still only worth what the trade is right now. It's never going to be worth more than that. So it'd be money very poorly spent on behalf of the town if we went that approach. Oh boy. The rear differential, the brakes, the rear brakes, which right now those are working. Problem is, it's the hours on this machine. Everything is right at the edge of needing a major overhaul because it's considered near the end of its life cycle for the kind of machine it is. If it was a farm tractor, you just keep going through the fields. It's not a big deal. But this is the machine, when we need it, we need it. And we can't be sitting there, oh, hold on, gotta go get the oil. Well, we blew a hydraulic hose again. So, and that's
the real issue is to start to make it noise, and we can't pinpoint it to the transmission or the rear end. And I'm afraid that something special is going to break.
Got it.
And then we're going to have to fix it. And then what are we going to do?
Understood. That's why we're asking you. You're the experts. You work it every day, and you're also putting your limbs out there. Okay, I know it comes with the job, but we talked when I went to see it. I'm not an expert. Yes. So you did say that there is safety issues.
There
correct?
are safety issues that
Okay.
are of concern.
Thank you.
Yep.
Katie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
So I want to bring up a few points. I was certainly involved in the town meeting where we set that money aside. And I very much think it's within the purview of the board that you make a decision to use that money and that this does constitute an emergency. I also think that the voters should be reminded that if this wasn't happening right now, you certainly would be coming to us next year looking for this money to be able to do the exact same thing we're doing right now. So I guess I'm saying I'm in favor of taking that money and spending it really how the highway department feels it needs to be spent. If it's a new machine, then use some of the money towards the new machine and then borrow the rest. And next year, you know, the surplus money can go back into that reserve fund so it can be used in another emergency. I think it's silly to continue to go back and forth. I think it's what the money was put away for. It's an emergency and that's okay. And I'm glad we have the money. So that's my piece.
Thank you as always for your commentary and your guidance. Thank you, Katie. Russ?
And I know we're not at the end of the year, but we're pretty darn close. What type of surplus are we looking at?
It's very hard to tell, but we are looking at probably in the $250,000 range.
So clearly, we have more than enough to earmark it now.
That's correct.
For that.
I guess I just don't understand why this, you know, if it says that, here we are getting information that this is a trouble machine and it's not going to be worth anything more, and no matter what we do to it. And on this list that I have, I will clearly and gracefully, I hope, admit that I don't know very much about this stuff. So I'm reading the things that say 341 hours on a machine. This is basically a new machine that we were going to fix. So that's just doesn't sound like what you were just saying.
No. We're talking about two different things.
Oh.
That's a machine we're looking to purchase. Our machine has 8,000 hours. Yeah.
Oh, okay, this is a used machine, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we've had Amber. Go ahead.
I don't think we're disagreeing that we should buy it. The question is, how do we buy it tonight if what he says is not going to be around? And I guess still makes sense to me that we never understood emergency, so I kind of agree with Katie that this would be my definition of emergency. But are we actually got the authority to do it tonight or not? I don't know that.
I can check. My feeling is yes, you do, because that's why it was set up, is so that the select board could make these decisions when needed in a timely manner. So I will check and let you all know via an email, and then you can have a special meeting via email if you so choose.
How about if we actually make a motion, we purchase it pending that we can get the money from the emergency fund. Therefore, once you got the approval from our attorney to go ahead, or whoever, you'd already got the approval from the board.
I second that.
That works for me.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we go ahead and give authorization to our town manager to pursue the funding through the emergency fund reserve budget to put, well, it would be the 70,300, because even though we got 10.
Identify the proper machine that we're targeting.
But this
You have the funding though. If you have the funding and you can do it, right?
Right.
If it was my money, I wouldn't even look at it when I buy the new one. No?
I just,
Jason, we can't get one right away though.
yeah.
Yeah, you can right there. Be here in July. That's the case.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. The used cat compared to that one. For $20,000, 6 years old, divide it out. That's not a whole lot of money per year.
No, it isn't.
6 years newer, without purchasing an extended. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of difference to me. If it was my money and I had it to do, that's what I would do. I wouldn't even look at it.
Well,
I had said before, if you're gonna buy a new one, go with the case. If you're gonna buy a used one, go with that. Is what I would do. So that's up to
So we are back to, do we want to consider the new machine, or are we okay with the 2015 cat?
Just gave my opinion on what I would.
No, that's what this is all about, to make sure everyone's had their say.
This case included everything?
And then some. Came with a pusher. Oops, sorry. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I thought he said. Sorry.
Um, I mean, there again, I'm going by what the town, what you guys were asking for, you know?
Okay. Okay. So, okay, so are we amending, or are we sticking with Craig's original motion?
Never got it done, so.
No, okay, so
And
we're,
I also want to know what size that case is.
Yeah, that's what I
Is
was
that
trying-
the 410 size or the 310 size? So we didn't drop a size like we thought we were going to. Okay.
is that acceptable? From your, no,
I
from
don't
your
run it every day.
expertise?
We talked that we could possibly drop a size. Okay.
Okay. Greg, back to your court, my friend.
I was going along with what they wanted on it, and I thought if they weren't going to use it that much, that a used one makes sense, but if it is, I'll go along with Jason, it's so close in money. Because originally I thought it was half price, but when you compare it to the case, it's not half price. It's like 3/4 of the price, you know, because the case came in so much lower, really.
Well,
And I didn't see it before, but so I guess I would go along. If we're gonna go and take the money, whether we took 93 or 70, we're still borrowing. We're borrowing.
In either case, we are spending a very large portion of our fellow citizens' money, and that's why we're having this complete
And
conversation.
maybe more people would ask, why did you buy a used one compared to just getting a new one? Yeah.
So are you now going back, are you now considering the new purchase?
If that's what they wanted. I mean, that's.
That's what I originally said, was if you guys decided to go new, I would go with the case.
Chuck, you need to be up to the mic, please.
That's what I originally said, was if you decide to go new, I would go with the case, but if I was gonna buy a used machine, I would go with the cat, dollars for dollars. Because originally, weren't even talking about taking money out of the emergency fund. We were talking, we didn't have any money. So then the cat would have made sense.
Fine.
So now,
I have one more
you've changed the
question.
rules.
Toby, you're recognized.
I'm so out of my element here. But I heard somebody say, does that include the new one? Does that include something? And he said no. So what was that about?
So the used cat has a snow pusher that goes with it, that comes on the front, and the new one would not.
And you don't think you need it?
No, it was just a bonus. We got it, great. We'd use it somewhere, but we don't need it.
Okay.
It was just came with the machine. No, we've never had one before.
Okay.
That
Is
snow
this
pusher.
case set up exactly how you'd want it?
It is. It's yeah.
Tires,
all
the
of
whole
them
nine
are.
yards.
Yeah, all of them are comparable that way, except for the used John Deere does not have a thumb, but the rest of them were set up correctly.
So this one has a thumb then?
Yes. Yep. Got to have. That was part of the deal.
This is the $93,000, 150.
That's correct.
Unit?
Yes.
Which we would take immediate delivery?
Middle of July.
Middle of July?
Mid-July.
Now, given, excuse me if I may interject, given everything we've discussed, and assuming that we can acquire the money in the fund, that is still going to leave us somewhat short of this total amount, correct? Everybody? Shouldn't be. This is 93,000. Are we gonna have enough money?
Out of the reserve fund?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
You had 150 there.
Okay.
My only last question, if you're gonna, is could you please get a price for that 2-year power line warranty? Because normally that's not that much money to look at it. That's 2 years is not very long for a warranty, to be honest with you. No, on the new. I'm looking at the new. No, if they want a new, I'm with you. I think it's the price is right, but a 2-year warranty for the power line on a brand new backhoe is not very long. And so I would think like a 5 or a 7-year power, yeah, and only get the power line. That's just the engine train. Right.
Yes, sir.
Peter Romano again, and I think we should go with the case and end the discussion. Simple as that.
The new one.
Go with the new one.
Thank you
It will
very
be
much,
here
sir.
in July. We don't have to wait the next year or fall. Do it now. He'll have the equipment. He can use it in July.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Um,
So, can we have a motion?
Well, since I started it and Jason diverted me to the right direction, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and authorize the town manager to pursue taking $93,150 from the emergency fund to purchase the case 2021 loader. I mean, the back, it says loader backhoe, the 580 from Beauregard.
Motion has been made and seconded. Excuse me, we have a public comment. Yes, sir.
Craig just made the motion based on the estimate, but he asked to have the warranty looked at.
Yeah.
He won't have money for the warranty.
Is that correct?
They can,
But he did ask for the 93,150 coming out of the emergency fund, so we do have 10,000 out of our equipment fund that we could supplement it.
in most all the extended warranty, they give you up to a year to purchase it. So it doesn't have to come out of the original sale.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded.
Did you have something on your motion that says that it's required to have the
2-year warranty.
extended warranty? Oh, I'm sorry. And the extended warranty.
They had to just price it and come back to us.
Yeah, but you don't have anything in the motion about it?
No, because I don't know how much I can require about it, but then we'd have to come back to get authorization.
No, but
for
why
the-
don't you say pending an agreement for an extended warranty?
I don't have a problem with that, other than we would have to come back. Is that right?
Yeah, and we can't purchase it if you
put that in, we can't purchase it because it has to be exact dollar amount.
And as Craig said, you can purchase that later in time. Right. It's not like it has to be at the time of sale.
Well, but if you know you can purchase it, then it's fine. But if you don't know that you can purchase it.
We don't know how much it is, so how do you do it?
Well, so then you're willing to pay whatever it is if you leave it out. That's fine.
No.
If you're willing to do that.
It's part of the trade where you actually purchase it and then you call back and they give you up to a year to purchase that warranty.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So we're under that.
It's not cut and dry. It's really
Okay,
not.
motion has been made and seconded. Are we now ready to conclude this issue and vote? All those in favor of the motion?
Say.
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
yeah.
Aye. Opposed? Hold on. Opposed? None. Motion is adopted. Thank you for everyone's input. Okay, moving on to new business. Forest Road. No parking ordinance.
Okay, it has been brought to our attention that there is, unwanted activity on Forest Road, as we've known for approximately 2 to 3 years, that, people are parking illegally on the sides of the road and doing unwanted activities. We have begged Wyndham County Sheriff to make more trips down there. We actually set up cameras 3 years ago down there and actually arrested 3 individuals that I know of. Once they were very active down there, and they kind of slowed down, but never stopped. And now, without having constant presence, we're back to having illegal parking and activities. So to answer Peter and why it wasn't a public notification out there is, this is the first option that you will have to talk about this. And it was brought to me to please place on the board agenda, just to throw out what is happening and what your options are to help that community, that street. So at this point, please, someone take over.
Why is the sheriff's department not doing it?
What's on? I can't spend as much time down there at night and weekends. Sorry.
All right, my name's Tim Breer. I live on Forest Road. I want to correct something you said, though. 2 or 3 years. I was here in 2005. I had a hand in the sign. Well, there's a sign. There's 2 signs to say no parking on both sides of the road. I had a hand in having that ordinance was put into place back then. The little pull-off next to the falls was kind of a compromise, because we were getting like 30 cars on both sides of the street back in 2005. So this problem has been continuous. It just escalated at that point, and something needed to be done. That sign is gone now. I don't know where it went, how it disappeared. I have no clue. But people did not respect the sign. The reason the sign, that little pull-off was there, was supposed to allow 3 cars, so they can stop, look at the falls, take a picture. We've had cars parked all the way up, and my wife has actually taken pictures and sent to the sheriff's department all the way up to the corner. That's ridiculous. People are not respecting the signs. Back in 2005, I had a lot of feedback saying, well, you know, it's the townspeople that are there. We are not seeing the townspeople there. We are seeing New York, Missouri, Illinois, and they're not tourist people. There are people who are very questionable. And I have an eye for questionable people because I've worked in drug and alcohol most of my life. And I actually know who's dealing there and who's not. And we're finding more needles there. And I mentioned 2005 because it got better. It got better because as a community, some of us were out there talking to people. We were encouraging them to be, to kind of tell other people, don't ruin this. This is you want to come here, don't ruin it. And, talk to your friends. And it slowed down and it slowed down. Well, it's starting to escalate. And I think COVID is a big part of it. I think people didn't have anything to do. So they were Twitter and Skype and everything. Hey, party. And it was like spring break there. And they were rude and obnoxious to us. I had a physical on my land, a physical altercation where someone was throwing rocks at me and threatening me on my own property. And that's when the sheriff got involved, because you're getting easygoing people who are there, who are at retirement age, who want a quiet, peaceful community. And it's turned into spring break every summer. We dread the summer. And it's not even people from around here. There is access, if people want to come swim at the falls, which they shouldn't, because it's like the 4th most dangerous waterfall, around.
In our area, yep.
They can access it through the trails. There's public trails that lead right to the falls. When I go time, so usually a hike, and you're not bring, you know, a couple 6-packs or a case or whatever you're bringing and leaving it. And so, or leaving it at that little pullout. So we noticed, and I know it's been an aggravation for the town, but when you get years and you finally had it up to here, you got to do something. I know it's been an aggravation to you guys, but we felt we weren't being heard. I sent this in March. I didn't hear anything. I heard people talking, but I didn't hear anything to show that I sent this in. And
It's a request for one-way road.
It's broken down into 2 parts. So one was for because some of the neighbors wanted to make it one way, but I had another part where we would try to block off those. There's like 6 pull-offs. And first of all, put them there. Who justified that? Who proved that? And I don't think anybody did. I think that over time they get worn in. They get worn in. They get worn in. And can you imagine if I decided that I like your yard and I like to hang out in front of it, so I'm pulling in, and over time I'm going to make this nice pull-off that everybody else sees. And now it's an invite. If you think about it, it's an invite. You pull off, you're going, hey, everybody else pulls off there, why don't I? And so it becomes like the norm. That's the normal spots now. And they're not pull-offs. They're parking places. That's what they are. That people are parking there. People are parking there at all hours of the night. It's very unnerving. A couple of my neighbors who don't have weapons have bought weapons because they don't feel safe in their own homes now. I'm considering buying a weapon. We have some of them have invested in security. We're investing for our own safety because we don't feel safe, because we have been confronted by people. I think you've had right to your door, knocking on your door. He gets constant abuse. He's right across from the falls. He gets constant abuse. I don't know whether everybody's out on him or what, but it's got I think, an easy solution, a simple solution. I'm glad you're getting a new machine because you might need it. I think a nice solution is just fill in the, what I was talking to David here from the Basin Farm, we were talking today, and he feels like there should be some pull-off, right? But to get by, get around, for emergency. And I understand that, but we don't need, on a half-mile road, we don't need 6. And so some of those need to get filled in. Or I know Frank, who lives up, I don't know Frank's last name. Frank Hawkins. I know he likes to pull down there to use his, to have access to his land. Well, that's fine. We don't want to totally ban people. And I think that, I was thinking about it. If you were working in your yard, you could get people to park, who are doing construction, or if you were doing work, you'd park in front of your yard. Nobody's going to hassle you about it, right? So if you're parking along your own land, then I don't think you're going to get hassled for parking. So I don't think that should be an issue about no parking. Definitely that across from the falls needs to be blocked. That one is a serious problem. People don't even bother parking in it. They're just parking on both sides of the street, and there's clearly signs put up by the town that say no parking on both sides of the road. So, and they abused the ordinance that says you can park 3 cars there. They've abused it. There's no way someone's not going to abuse it. So I think it needs to disappear. Whether it's poles there, whatever is safe, whatever, works. But I think we're tired of dealing with it. We're tired of having the responsibility of calling the state police, who give us a lot of lip and actually make some pretty negative comments. Like they told me, my wife witnessed this. I called because 3 very drunk individuals stumbling were going to go to the falls, and I called to stop them because I was afraid they're going to drown. 24 drownings there. I was afraid he's going to drown. The state trooper came and harassed me because they were gone by that point, and harassed me. And why are you calling us? You need to get your own. you need to get together with the other residents of the town of Westminster and buy your own police force. Don't be calling us. So that's the response we get. And that's not the only response I've got like that from the state police. So I'm a little bit so I feel like I can't call them. And I know some of you have some of those responses too, right? And the sheriff's department has been great this year. But what frustrates me, I was telling David this morning, is it took a violent interaction between two people. When you call them before, no one shows, or they show up 2 hours later. By that point, so we understand that they're busy. I hate to have to be calling people for parking. They were nice enough to give my wife a text number, one of the sheriffs, and told us to take a photograph of, people
Which
parking
one
there.
was that, can I ask?
Yeah.
Can I ask which officer that was?
My name's
Jess Fellows?
My name's
Okay.
Pat
Thank you.
Mayo. And on several occasions, we have done that. We've taken pictures, we've sent them in. Nothing's ever been done. We've never received any feedback or saying that, yes, we've contacted them. This is what's going to happen. We've cited them. That's what we want. We want people to stop being cited for doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, like parking on the road. I mean, there have been times that you have to wait and beep your horn to get people to come up from the falls to move their cars so you can just get by. You can't get by. This all accumulated last summer really bad, where it was like from my house all the way up around the corner to where Mr. DeCamp lives, cars are parked all along that road. I took several pictures of it, gave them to the sheriff, and the sheriff never did nothing. And the other thing is, we have called the state police. The state police said, don't bother us, we're too busy, or we don't have enough people on duty to answer your petty call. And that's a little bit ridiculous. We pay money for the town and for the state to protect us. I'm serious. I went, as Tim was saying, I went and had to buy a brand new security system for my house. I have had stuff thrown at my windows. My neighbor, Rasa, she has had her windows broken. I have had deer parts laying in my driveway, laying in my front yard, because I've confronted some of these people and told them they can't be here. Several times at night, I've seen cars parked right down the middle of the road, 3, 4, 5 cars in a row for a half an hour, just sitting there. Now, what's going on? I called the state police. Oh, there's nobody available right now. It's like, what are you going to do?
They're useless.
They totally useless. I mean, it's like, yeah, and now I'm starting to carry a gun around because of that. Because I am literally getting afraid to come out of my own. I know how to use it, believe me. I've been trained on it very well, being in the military. But I mean, my neighbors don't have one. And what if they confront somebody and all of a sudden, the drugs down there are really, really bad, and nobody wants to take any time to like educate the public and say, go away. We don't want you down here. I mean, it's fine if they come down and go swimming, sure. But when they start parking and giving you a hard time saying, and yelling and swearing at you, 2 weeks ago, a neighbor of mine and myself were confronted by a 17-year-old girl. She wanted to fight us because she was parked with 4 other people. It's like, you can't park there. It's private property. And so we called the sheriff. Jessica came out, Fellows. And by the time that she got out there, they were gone. So, and that's what happens when you call. By the time they show up, they're gone. Now, we probably see them come down maybe once a day. For a while, it was pretty good. Officer Larkin, he'd come down 2 or 3 times a day. Or they'd sit at the wrong times a day. I mean, you have to be there at like from noon to 3 and from 5 to 8. That's the busy times or the hot times of the day where people decide they want to come down to go swimming. And this happens at night too. They park anywhere on that road at night, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. You don't even know that they're there sometimes. So that's all I had to say about that. Thanks. Oh, the other thing is one of those areas that what he was talking about was a pull-off that was man-made by the town actually ended up making it, not on purpose. They put a culvert in, and that was across from Rossa Springy's house. They put a culvert in to draw the water away from her driveway, and there was these big stones that were placed there. They had actually come through, the people, and pushed the stones over the edge, and they made that cutout even bigger. So that's an illegal, that town never did that. There was big stones there to stop the cars from parking there. And to let people know this is a dangerous spot, don't pull there, because there's ledge right there, gone. So that's the other thing I was thinking about on the cutouts. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, but I think that an easy solution is to extend that, to possibly move that sign that says no parking on both sides of the road down to where, what's Todd's last name? Todd Ward, who dumped all the dirt on the side of the road. I don't know who put that sign in that says park on one side. I can't get a clear answer on that. Did the town do that, or did he do that, or did? Oh, okay. Because all of a sudden a sign showed up a couple weeks ago that says don't, it looks like a professional sign. Okay.
As a desperate attempt to.
Chuck, please.
As a desperate attempt to fix this, they've put debris and stuff, somebody has, in the turnarounds, in the pull-offs, because there's no other way to stop it. So there's brush and stuff, and what it's becoming is a hazard. So I agree with them. I think we need to come up with a good solution, whether we put guardrail posts in front of here or what, to deter the parking, so that, because we can't allow logs and brush and debris and stuff to be in the side of the road, somebody's going to get hurt. And if we don't make an ordinance, no parking on both sides of the road, and somebody does park and we haven't made it illegal, then I would feel that we're liable if somebody gets out of their car and falls in debris that somebody put in a pull-off that we're going to allow to continue. And we do have issues. The highway department's picked up several needles all along there. The other major problem is at the other end, by the one-way, where by Dick Gay's house. There's a pull-off there that's a constant issue. And so I think we should make a no parking ordinance both sides of the road, and I've got used guardrail posts that we could put in that wouldn't cost nothing, really, a little bit of time, and it would solve it.
That you think that's what would solve that?
I think it would certainly help.
Did the citizens agree that that would be?
I definitely think that will solve it, because when the debris was blocking, our road slowed down to nothing. The traffic was gone. It was an enjoyable road. People were biking and walking, and just what our road should be. And people were walking in to go swimming. So we didn't get that kind of nonsense. So it did make a difference. It did prove it did make a difference by blocking those. And plus the fact that we've been talking people.
I'm more concerned of the safety perspective. This is building into rightfully carry a firearm. He's that afraid, or he's that concerned with family and safety.
Yeah.
Are all of you folks who are directly affected? You think that this will not just alleviate the issue, but eradicate?
Yeah, because right.
I'm not sure, eradicate. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's going to eradicate the issue, but it's going to alleviate it immensely.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, you're still going to get the people coming down who are going to do stuff illegal anyways. That's going to happen no matter where you are.
Okay.
That's human nature. But to deter it by putting up these barriers and saying there's no place for you people to park here, go park somewhere else and walk down. You're more than welcome to come down and go swimming. I don't mind that. But like David and I were talking today, them rocks down there on the falls, there's so much graffiti on them. Unbelievable. He said he has found stuff that was offensive and obscene and spray painted on them rocks. It's why are you going to destroy something that's that serene and just to sit down there and enjoy it? And you look up and you see all this, phallic symbols all over the place and stuff like that. And then when you confront the people about it, It tell you to go do unnatural acts to yourself and all this other stuff, you know, and it's,
So
and they
for,
laugh at
for
you.
clarification, it was stated that no parking both sides of the road, but you still want at least a turnaround or two?
Not so much a turnaround. There is a
Not,
turnaround.
I'm sorry, not a turnaround, a pullout.
A pull-off, yeah, so they can
Sorry.
just stop for a few minutes and take some pictures or whatever, not to sit there and camp out all day and party. That's not what we're asking. We would welcome people just to pull in, take some pictures, hang out for a little bit, and leave.
How about if they just walk down and took the
That's the other thing we were discussing is
picture? So don't have any cars there.
exactly. That's the main point. That's what I would like to see. But my other neighbors basically said, well, how about one or two of those places? So excuse me.
Thank you. Thank you for everything and all your input. I'd like to get some input from the board on how we may address this as quickly as possible.
I feel like the pull-offs, if there is, it is necessary to have one, then it's necessary to have one. That's really, you guys would need to know that, right? And, you know, I was thinking, well, no, it's
Press
not
the
about,
button, Chuck.
it's not about swimming. That's the thing. It's not about swimming. It's a quick pull-off. For some reason, our street is a very quick pull-off. And the way the criminal mind works is once you know there's an area that you can go, and by the time the police get there or get called, you could be long gone. Well, that's a great spot. Forest Road has become that spot, and we don't want it to be that spot anymore.
So how are we going to long-term stop the quick drops of bad habit in the pull-offs that you folks still want to keep?
Well,
Please,
I'd be
David,
happy
I'd love to hear
go
from
ahead.
you.
I'd be happy to get rid of all of them, tell you the truth.
I realize that.
I'm David Langmaid from the Basin Farm. So in talking with the neighbors, and for quite a few years now, I've been working with Officer Lakin on various, you know, activities, and it's been a little bit of what do you say? No. Okay, so the message gets out when you find some of the perpetrators, and the message gets out, pretty clear message. So I think a little bit of control, you know, monitoring from the sheriff, you know, it'll go a long way. But in talking with him, this is a question. He says that the signs that were put there, no parking both sides of the road. That, I mean, I have it right here. I don't know if this was a town ordinance. It's from the town records.
It is.
July 13th, 2005. So
That is still on the board
for some reason,
to enhance.
Okay,
You
so
have
that's
it
the
in your
question.
packet,
If that isn't
Select
actually
Board.
enforceable to the point where they can cite people for disobeying that, because there
And
is
they do
signs.
know this. I have had multiple conversations with them and sent them this ordinance and say, why are you not taking this to the next level? And why?
He said it wasn't legal, it wasn't passed by the board, but he said, Peter Romano, that he could write out a ticket. It would not be an ordinance where we would get the money. He would write out a state ticket.
And that doesn't make sense. We have an ordinance. We have an ordinance that they can enforce, and we've had this, as you guys know, they're not down there just because they love Forest Road. They're down there because I'm calling them daily. When I get a complaint, I call. And when I see them, I call them to the point of, why are you not hitting Forest Road 3 and 4 times in your shift? They're well, they've got other roads they have to maintain. So, but they're supposed to be monitoring that severely. And I'm not getting the input back, as you're not getting the input back of what they're doing. The only time we got true evidence, and then we had true actual arrests was when we put the cameras out. And that was with Paul, I'm drawing a blank his last name. And he literally set the cameras up, and we found that 2 people from Keene and 2 people from Bellows Falls. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Right. It's just, and it's the same white van. I've seen that white van again. So New Hampshire plates.
It sounds like we really need an ordinance and physical.
Which we
Yeah.
do. But,
Physical barrier. I
but
mean, like.
we should enhance it. We should definitely update it.
Unfortunately, this is not our, I've been here a long time. And we had some even worse, because when we cut off all the turnaround areas, it was before you were here, Russ.
Oh.
People were driving in the driveways of people's homes and couldn't leave their driveways because there were 5 trucks, vehicles deep, because once one person pulled in, they thought it was, we went over it. The only time we ever got anything where we finally cleaned it up was we had the sheriff's department go right down there, and we just kept hammering the sheriff's department, go down and stop it. And it worked. And within the next couple of years, it actually slowed down real well. But now we're right back. So it's not just the pull off, because these people were so bad, they will start pulling in your driveway and leaving their car in the driveway. And we had so many confrontations between the people that lived there. They were coming out, calling the police. I can't leave because, so I just think, Russ, we got to go after the sheriff's department to get down there. We know the hours. We know it's only good weather. We know that, and just hammer them is what we have to do.
David Still is talking.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to speak, so that was a question about the ordinance side issue, but what Lakin says, and what we would like to do is, in order for them to help us, they need to be able to enforce something. And so that's where no parking both sides of the road. If this is legal, maybe it needs to be more than this, so that can be enforced, because this hasn't been able to be enforced. I don't know. But no parking both sides of Forest Road, if that's what it, if that's what you all feel is good. The other, to speak to the pull-offs.
So you don't have a problem with eliminating all of the pull-offs?
To speak to the pull-offs, the concern that we have as far as the pull-offs is just that there wouldn't be physical barriers barricading anything other than traveled space, because it's I don't know how else to say it. Like, I'm not saying there needs to be designated parking areas. Like right now, they're parking areas. That's what they're by all practical definition, they're large enough to be parking areas. So a pull-off is just something where practically, if you needed, like, ourselves, because we own property all the way up, and we don't have any, other place, it's not safe to be in the traveled portion of the road. I'm not saying it needs to be everywhere. I'm just saying somewhere, if we're going to put barricades, that we wouldn't just barricade everything other than the traveled, traveled portion of the road. So we don't need all the space so that it's a parking area. I think that making it, I was talking with a couple of them today. I think that making it, closing it in some, however you all feel is best. Maybe using some posts some places so that it's not this, like up near Richard Gay's house, there's a huge section of the road where it's, you could fit, I don't know, you could fit 8 cars in there or whatever.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Met them down there, and barricaded however they figured it out. So it made everybody happy.
Or just bringing the dirt, dumping dirt, bringing the dirt
I
back.
still think, but Chuck, I still think you need to have the sheriff's department involved.
Yeah, no.
Because the sheriff's department, if they're against it, they're not going to come down and enforce it. But if we actually ask the sheriff's department to, listen, let's go down, let's have a meeting with you and Russ, let's look at it. Because maybe the sheriff's department will come up with even a different idea. But we need them on board.
Oh, I agree. I was just talking about barricading off, pull-offs. However, the only thing I do not like about dirt is it doesn't let water go through it. If I put a post up, road water could drain through it and not cause any kind of erosion issues.
Okay.
Okay.
The sheriff's department did come down a few months back, well, actually last summer, towards the end of last summer, and put down signs, Wyndham County signs, the sheriff's department, no parking. They put them all up and down the road. And what happens is they were just pounded in the ground. A lot of them ended up over the bank, down in the river, and stuff like that, or into the woods. But there's still some there. And the people just ignore them. I mean, today there was a couple, there were 3 people that pulled up into the area by my house. And I asked them, I says, can you read the sign right there? What's it say? It says no parking, right? Oh, we're just going to be here for like 10, 15 minutes. But it says no parking. And it's like,
Well, I think this should be high on our list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to immediately begin that, thank you everyone for your input. I also just want to apologize if there was not proper notice for this meeting tonight. I take full responsibility on behalf of the board and apologize to any member of the public who felt that because of that they weren't going to be here. And I'm really sorry. That it's never our intent to do anything like that. But I understand that they were affected, and I do apologize. That being said, Peter, you got a comment?
Peter's back again.
Okay.
I would like to see the no parking on both sides. And up but where Richard Gay is, there's one big pull-off and one small one. And when Colby's lived there, he took brush all the time from his land and filled in because they tried to make a pull-off there. And when Colby's house got burnt down, and then Richard Gay bought it, it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger again. And I've seen people sitting there shooting heroin up, stuff in their mouth,
All right.
sitting on the hood of the car, smoking their pot.
You've made.
Like they can come down here from Bellows Falls or
I think,
wherever.
I think we've heard everything.
You've heard about
it's
everything
horrible,
tonight.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's really bad down there.
Yeah.
And I have a gun too. I've always had a gun. I
Well,
used to be a police
we hope
officer.
you're not going to be shooting anybody.
So no parking sign.
No parking the whole road, and I don't want to pull off or a turnout, really.
And if Chuck comes down there for your discussion and meets with everybody, gets an idea of how this could look structurally, make folks more confident and safe, would that work?
Well, you got to.
Okay.
And when can we get this ordinance through and some signs put up? So not like next year, can we?
No.
Can it be in, like say July 30th or before the summer's over? The signs and filled in if you got the time, Chuck. With your new case that we bought for you today.
I will be out of the area until next Wednesday. Leave at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll be back Wednesday morning. So anytime after that, even if it's easier on a Saturday, it doesn't matter to me.
What we can do is Chuck and I will get together about a time that works for us. We'll post it for you folks. I'm going to call 2 or 3 of you and let you guys hit everybody else. All right? That's just, for ease of getting it done. But we will have a meeting on site.
I'd also like to make, or someone put that motion, that we have we have a action memo created for our sheriff to address this issue as well and to be more present to give our taxpayers much more confidence than they have now that they're not only accessible but at least getting down there. I know you're making the calls, Russ. This isn't the only thing we've had a problem with the sheriff, as everybody knows. So we are paying for it.
Could you find out what he just said that the sheriffs actually went down and put signs on? I never heard of that last year.
They
So-
did. They're the little
The little
tiny
ones?
things
So
that-
they must know that.
They're bright orange signs.
Yeah. But they're also the little ones.
I
They
never
have
heard-
a ton of those.
Down there.
Really?
And
Yeah.
at the end of last year, in November, I took them all down and I stored them in my shed. And I gave them to a neighbor and we put them all back up again. So we saved them from the plows knocking them over. And they're back up again, thanks to me.
Thank you very much.
They're back up this year.
Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion? We have an action plan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any other comment?
Everything's fine.
Okay.
Jess Fellows.
Jessica.
Like I said, unfortunately, for the altercation, it's
Unfortunately.
get her out there, which is frustrating, but she came out and actually packed and right away. So I'm giving the sheriff department a lot of credit for, stepping up like they did. They did.
Okay.
Fellows.
Okay, so we have our marching orders. And I'm sure we expect to hear from you if this does not go the way you expect it. Okay. Any, Toby?
No, I'm ready to do the dog license.
Okay. No further comment from the public? We can move on? Thank you, everyone. Dog license.
In your packet, you have the ordinance that the clerks are to notify the select board every year about dogs that are not registered. And as you can see, there is a slew of them. I got an updated list today after they had given me that one. We have 175 known dogs that had previously been registered that are not now. We are going into July 1st. We're going to have a animal control officer with the Wyndham County Sheriff, so that hopefully will help us get this under wraps. But it's ridiculous to look at the names of the folks that know they have a dog, they have to have it registered. So I'm hoping that we're on the right track for that. I'm still very pessimistic that we're only doing about a third of the dogs in Westminster.
Okay.
Even with this list.
Okay.
I mean, you walk down the street and everybody's got a dog now, which is great, but they're not registering them.
Okay.
It's an in-house dog is what I get a lot. Oh, the dog never goes out. Well, yeah, it does. And so, but anyway, that's all it is.
Comments?
I think the registration should be every other year. Or the registration should be, I was talking to Pauline about this, and she suggested the possibility that dogs have to have 3 years on their
Rabies.
shots, and that when that comes, you have to register your dog. I mean, I don't know why a year goes by so quickly. It's not the $9, I don't think it's that. It's just, I don't know why we have to do it every single year.
Oh, Craig, we've had this conversation. It is that the only teeth we would have is to pull a benefit. And the only benefit that we give that we have really good handle on is the trash tags. So you give 50 tags to them instead of 55 and say, you'll get the other 5 when you register your dog. Unfortunately, it's yeah, it is. It's one of those things.
That we would say, we're gonna charge you twice as much, we're gonna get it to you other.
We'd have to talk to Pauline. She has the rules and regulations.
Okay.
The clerks have that,
So
but
why don't we
for another
take-
day.
Why don't we take your fine suggestion and make that for next meeting? We'll talk to her and see if we can move that. Thank you very much. Moving on to the manager's report.
Just a few things. Davidson Hill Road auction, just a reminder, it's June 29th, 10 o'clock here at the town hall. School vote, 3-member to a new board, June 30th here at the town hall. Please get out and vote from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pine Banks Road property was sold. Hallelujah. It was finally sold. This year's audit is July 28th through the 30th. And just a reminder, the town offices will be closed on July 2nd and July 5th for the 4th of July weekend.
Thank you very much. Comments? Thank you. Boards and commissions.
In front of you, Kevin, you have the official form for Wyndham Regional Commission Notice of Appointment for John Jones and Russell Lazarick.
Which we've already voted on.
Which we have. We just need a signature.
Signature completed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Russell and John Jones.
I'll send that in tomorrow, and you'll get your packet for the next meeting shortly, Russ.
Thank you. Anything else on boards and commissions?
I don't have anything else.
Other business?
In your packet, the fire district has asked for input to their problem with getting a grant with the Hold Harmless and pilot funding. I have, through talking with Kevin, I went to VLCT, and their comment was that you can't do that this year. For the official, have the state pay them their portions because the taxpayers have voted the amounts. We could, and I will be in touch with Katie Dearborn and find out if separate checks would help the cause, or if it's just going to confuse the cause, for them to show that they are actually receiving their portion of those two units. So it's an ongoing thing. The Prudential Committee is going to meet with you, your board, on July 28th at your regular scheduled meeting. They're going to come and talk to you about this. Next meeting, I'll have more information for you so that you'll be ready to discuss the ins and outs of how this can happen, get what they need, and still not put a undue burden on them with financial obligations. Because right now we are taking that obligation for them, and we just don't want to dump it on them and not have a good solution to it.
And I appreciate all that. And obviously the main issue here is to make sure that our fire department gets that truck, which they so importantly need, and the town needs to get that to them. So whatever's here that's slowing this process up, the objective is to fix it. And I was talking to Russ, and to get everybody at least in writing as to where we need to be to get this as fixed as quickly as possible, so we know where everybody stands and what we're supposed to be doing to get the quickest possible solution. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Any comments or issues on that further as we move that forward and get ready to meet with the good folks at the Prudential Committee? Okay. Do you have a comment, Russ?
Yeah, just a request. I'm assuming this is now going to be the location for the select board meeting. Can we look at the layout here? It's really difficult for the people that are behind this case. Be looking at backs of people's heads. I don't know if these can be moved at all, or some better way to do a layout here, because we're having trouble hearing here. Backs of people's heads. So if we can look at the layout here at all.
As we all know, we had the configuration of the two tables were side by side, and the board sat there, the public sat over here. Are you all comfortable now with placing the two tables together and having all five of you sit together?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because what we tried to do is a little combination of everything.
No, yeah, I understand.
Separating everyone for protection.
Yeah.
We're trying to do the best we can with that. And
That was Russ Lazarus. Oh, all the other folks.
I didn't honestly know that so many people were coming.
Okay.
I will definitely have that.
Okay, we will, that's duly noted, and we will take up returning
I
to
have
a,
all the names except for
go ahead.
David from Basin Farm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just literally for
Russ.
David. I'm sorry, Basin Farm. Okay.
aren't getting taxed on.
Okay.
I caretake for a rental property that does get taxed on.
Okay.
I just don't want to tell people the wrong information.
Right, absolutely. So we do not now send anything out of a driving distance. We send to New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, if it's not Boston, and very little in New York, because we weren't getting them back. We'd send them to Arizona, and of course the renters came and said, well, we didn't get them. Well, that's because your landlord lives in Arizona and then didn't send them to you.
So where I caretake is fine, I come and pick them up.
Exactly. All you do is call me, we come and we have the pack.
Is actually in Westminster West. There's 2 rental properties plus the zone, and you didn't get any for either property.
If,
I'm pretty sure that you still get the tag, because I get them for same scenario.
if they're on one parcel, one home, they get tags. If these 2 apartment buildings are on the same parcel, they do not get 2 parcels. They get 1 packet.
So not an apartment building, but it is 2 houses that one actually be.
So they only get 1 packet.
So that may be.
We've had a lot of new, we've had a lot of new people come in, and unfortunately, no, but I'm just saying, please have them call me. I mean, we have a list.
He was going to today, and so I'm asking.
Yes, and this hasn't changed. It's still the exact same sequence, except we stopped sending them to East Overshoe because we never got them back. They were not given back to the people that needed them.
Okay, clear? Okay, thank you, sir.
I move we adjourn.
Motion has been made to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? We are adjourned. Thank